your fate? Beware, as what lies ahead of you will either be your destiny or your defeat.
Live to AI, let's get you set up on Streamlabs Desktop Ultra. Make sure we got our desktop settings right so you can pump out that content quickly. I see a ton of people streaming on TikTok, on different shops. You know, hey, let's sell some products. Let's hit this hustle. Let's do that grind. Fantastic. I fucking love it. But let's be efficient about it. If you're going to do it once. Don't do it only on one place. Like, let's go to TikTok. Let's stream everywhere. Facebook, Insta, Twitch, YouTube, do it everywhere. Grab that content, use it for your blog, train an AI with it so AI can just do it for you next time. But in order to do all of this, we need to make sure our settings are correct. And the fun thing about Streamlabs is you're going to have your own little individual settings. And if you have an issue that you run into or you can't figure out, please ask me a question. There's not a ton of great resources out there for individual systems. So if you have a question, please drop it in the comments. I will figure it out. I will dial it in one way or the other. But what you got to do to get rolling is the goal is we want to hit multi-streaming, right? What does that mean? All right, well, we want to stream to all of our platforms. Multi, okay? I do have my stuff set up. We're good to go. But where are we going to stream to? These are the options currently available right now. And I'm going to just make sure there's not any that I'm missing. I have that unlinked right now. What I have right now, and this is cool to go to Insta for too. There's some keys you got to put in. What I'm doing tonight is I'm only streaming to TikTok and Twitch. I might be going YouTube right now too. So YouTube as well. Because I want to have those landscape platforms, and those are going to be your focus going forward. I know everybody says focus vertical content. Don't. The reason is you can today put landscape YouTube videos in your AI. So if you can do that, I'd probably lead with that. But those are the platforms you can go into. Now output, this is something we got to take a look at. So when you're streaming, and it's going to be per system, right? And I showed this on the last one, but I didn't have my settings correct. For my system, and I can't be doing a tutorial if it's not correct. So if we're doing this, I'm going to check that output again. What we're looking at on streaming is a couple things. One, you're going to have to figure out, platform specific encoder. Now I'm running what this computer is. It's nothing fancy, right? You don't have to have a ton of fancy streaming equipment, but I have an Apple, M1 2020 with the M1 chip, right? Nothing crazy, not a huge high horsepower computer. But what it says, the Streamlabs desktop settings are kind of in line to operate with that M1 chip. So to be the most efficient on my system, I'm going to keep it on that Apple hardware encoder. Now when you go in there, there's going to be a few settings for like software encoders, Apple software, that's just going to make your computer work harder. What we're trying to figure out on this one is like the happy space. How are we going to make our computer happy about running all of this stuff, okay? That's the main thing. So you're going to have to Google essentially what your system is, check Reddit, and if you can't find it, please shoot me a comment, a DM, I'm going to put the resources I found on my school community or on my academy so people can use it. And all of this will be, or a majority of this will be going up on the free side community today. I have a paid community, but this needs to be, there's a lot of stuff out there that you guys can figure out for free, but it's not necessarily like follow a Streamlabs tutorial and you'll have it all set up. Like you're gonna have to go Streamlabs, Twitch, analytics, but it's not that crazy, right? You just gotta go step by step and know where to connect stuff. That's the biggest battle anymore, is just know where stuff connects. Is my neighbors having a fire now? What do we got going on? Put out another fire. All right, so the first thing we got to do after we check out the encoder is we got to take a look at rate control. I'm going to keep that at CBR. That's where it defaults to on mine. I'm not sure where it started at in the beginning, but bitrate is something we got to talk about. How to make your bitrate happy. Think of bitrate as your new baby that's hungry, that wants to eat, that wants to, be social with the world, but you got to figure out what that is. Now, when I was checking the initial settings, my bitrate for my Apple M1, based on the Apple encoder, should be 4500 with a keyframe interval of 2. What I found on multi-streaming, and you play with it a little bit, right, is if you go up intervals of 500 or down intervals of 500, what happily worked for my system was a bitrate of 5000, that keyframe interval of 1. I didn't want it to be lagging. I didn't want it to be jumping too much. So that's kind of what worked for my system. So make sure you guys tinker around with that, but it's kind of, the bitrate's going to be your like happy spot. But if you start around 5000 and just check it on Twitch, you're going to see that graph moving up at the top. You're probably going to be all right. Like, don't spend too much time on it. Set it the first time, stream, see what happens, and kind of make a little adjustments, little bites out of these things. And for profile, and then I have unchecked use B-frames. I believe that comes stock as selected. I uncheck it. When you go to the audio tab, what we're going to looking for here is essentially where is your stuff coming from? Well, let me backtrack to the output a little bit. On the output tab, there's something you want to check. Come into your audio dropdown and make sure each track is ramped up to 320. That's basically just going to give us the best chance to get the highest quality audio for our stream. So ramp them all up, whatever track you're using, keep it at 320. Don't overthink that one. Okay, when we come back up top, the recording, nothing crazy here, right? We're going to just keep it in MP4 format, easy to go across different platforms. And think about this when you're streaming. Try and not keep your recordings about 50 minutes. Like, don't go over into an hour because it's going to be harder to move that around from platform to platform. You're running into compression problems, storage problems. And that's the biggest thing with some of these platforms is your biggest cost into developing some of it is going to be how to move media around quickly. And if you have a full hour tutorial, keeping that in hot storage at 4K 30 or at 4K 60 is going to be your biggest cost. So if you keep it 1080p 30, it's going to look good. You're going to be able to move it around. And you're going to be able to keep your content, fairly quick and clean. That's the reason, at least I say 1080p 30 right now. And the reason I do that is because in my web app, trying to move that shit around, my biggest cost comes from that. So keep it in P4. Don't try and push anything too crazy. Audio, we're putting 320 out. Life is good, right? On the audio settings, when we come in here, what we're looking at here is basically where your input is coming from and then where you can hear other tracks from. So if I'm pulling music from somewhere, I can pull it from these tracks and listen to it. Where am I? This is going to be your main microphone. So I have MacBook Air set up right here, but what I do is I have a little microphone plugged into it just to help it sound a little better. It was like a $10 mic from Amazon. So that's where my main input is going to be. So I have it set up to that. So essentially, like if I change it right, you can come in here. Let me just show you on these other ones kind of what it's going to look like. So if I come in here and add it, what's that going to look like, right? It's just going to select that on the drop down, but we can come in and check out those settings. We'll pretty good when you go streaming. So if it's not looking great, if it's lagging, if it's dropping behind, drop it down to the 720. The main goal on these is to, and if you're trying to multi-stream, if you're trying to get a lot out there, you're going to sacrifice some quality for some reach, right? But if we're just setting up our cell phone, face looking forward camera, I mean, it's not like we're going for 4K stuff anyway, right? So if we're trying to get mass reach, set it up to where you can do that. Now, if you're teaching a tutorial or something you want to record later, get that better quality, that better stream. But if you're just trying to raise, hey, we're trying to push traffic around, push it to every platform and then do that. All right. Now, hotkeys, these are useful, and they are very useful when you're multi-streaming or any stream. But what that's going to allow you to do is basically jump scenes quick by quick, right? Like, so I have my recordings as the back quote, and all you got to do to set it up, any one of these is you can just go save replay, stop start. So if I wanted to go to my starting soon scene, for example, it's got all the options in your editor. You just come all the way to the bottom, switch to scene. I just press number 7, Johnny Elway. Okay. So anytime I hit the Elway button, I'm going to switch to that scene. To take it off, boom. You just come in here and select it. Easy peasy, nothing crazy. But that's going to allow you to operate your scenes on a keyboard, so you can just boom, boom, boom. Because what the stream doesn't like is you jumping around from window to window to window. It's trying to push a consistent view. And if you're zooming in and out of windows, it's not going to be happy about it. So set up those hotkeys to make your transitions and stuff a little bit more clean and smooth. Now, when we go into advanced, there's one for sure we're going to take a look at. Okay, we're just going to scroll to it nice and easy. Right here. Dynamically change bitrate when dropping frames while streaming. Select it. What does that mean? It's going to adjust for you to kind of make it easier to help you out with that tech, because it's tough to just set your your bitrate and just keep it consistent, because your internet's not going to be consistent. Like we've all done a download speed test. Your internet's not just staying there, right? Like it's going to be dynamic. So use that feature. It's fantastic. As far as scene collections, notifications, nothing crazy here that you're going to be missing on. The biggest thing is really, what's our output going to be? How's our bit rate? What does that mean for my system? Let's make sure we got the audio at 320 on each track. Make sure you're getting your mic coming in on the right channels that you want to see. Video, put it to where you can get the best output for your system, but at the same time, don't go for 4K quality if you can't stream it, right? You want to be able to stream it. Set your hotkeys, make those transitions easy, and then advanced, the biggest thing there again. Okay, come down, dynamically change bitrate. And that's going to get you going on your settings. In the other tutorials, I have like the editor, how to add stuff, how to add widgets. So make sure and check those out. But when you're getting started, just run into these settings first, rip the band-aid off. Like, let's go check out what we got going on for settings, and then move on to really how to set up your scene and all that to make it look clean and professional. When I do these tutorials, I usually just fire up a scene and see where it's going to go, because they're not always going to be the same. But after you get those initial settings done, the rest of it's going to kind of be on cruise control. So Streamlabs settings, bada bing, bada boom, okay? Get them right. If you have questions, drop it in the comments or join my academy. It's going to be free. Well, there's a free academy and then there's the paid one. But join the free one. It's going to have a ton of good info. It's going to help you out a lot. And then if you want to really graduate and take these things into some AI agents for you, there's that paid community. All right. And that pretty much concludes our initial settings. The rest of the tutorials are in the academy. But those are going to be really the important ones for you to get started on. So hang out for the next tutorial. What I'm going to do after this is I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to grab it, take it to podcast editor, which I think I already have that done, but at least you guys can see it. And then I'm going to go over, what's in the course, because that was something people got to focus on is, all right, what's your FAQs? What do you do? How's it a value add? Well, let's go see. So thank you, if anybody saw this, for jumping on the stream. We'll be on to the next one. And then from there, I'm basically just going to be pumping this thing out and do some sales. So that should be fun tonight. But what we want to do is just make sure Twitch is set up, Streamlabs is set up, we rock and roll. Let's go. Okay. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to keep streaming, but I'm going to stop the recording and move it to Podcast Editor. So if anybody has any questions in between this, let me know. All right. We have stopped the recording, so we can play a little music and jam. So if you have any questions while I'm doing this, let me know. I am going to move my Streamlabs setting off of this and move Twitch into it so you guys can see what's shaking. And we're gonna have to go to a couple different places, but I'm glad we at least got the Streamlabs done. So we can, I mean, that's the hardest part when you get streaming. If you get past that, like, fuck, you're ready to roll. All right, so now we have Twitch up, I believe. You see that? Yeah, you can see Twitch, we can make big. I like that. Twitch is probably like, I don't like you streaming Twitch, bud. You should probably fucking hide that. It's like they want people to come to their platform. All right. Cool. Twitch, hey, Twitch. Yeah. Because that's going to be one for you to see. Because once you get Streamlabs set up, right, like it's not going to... basically let that one roll. So I need to go, where do I need to go? YouTube not rolling? Am I stressing YouTube out? Yeah, I'm stressing YouTube out. That's fine because this is getting recorded on Twitch anyway. But you guys are going to see some of that tunnel vision, which, you know what? It is what it is. Because what the important thing is you fucking know how to do it, not that you see tunnel vision. You got to know how to do this. And I got my chat up there, so I think the main chat's on Twitch, though. Not on TikTok tonight. Because the focus needs to be on Twitch tonight, so... we're going to handle that without... Well, first thing we need to do, okay, is we need to go to Streamlabs. So we just finished, right? We just finished doing that Streamlabs tutorial. Now what are we going to do with it? Streamlabs.com/dashboard. Because if we're going to use it effectively, let's use the tools that we have available to do that. We do not want to do things twice. We want to be fast as fuck, and we want to make some AI. We want to make personalized AI. We don't want, I mean, don't get me wrong. I use GPT, I use Gemini, wherever it's effective, but I want my own AI. I don't want to keep retraining this shit. How are we going to do that? Take our fucking tutorials, put them in this thing, clean it up, put it on our website. And then train our AI from the website. Self-learning system. Okay, you can see that, cool. So we get logged into Streamlabs. Oh, I need to hit record, huh? All right. Okay, make sure you hit record when you're doing tutorials. Don't do that like me. After you get done, and I just did a Streamlabs desktop settings tutorial, how are we going to make it effective? First thing we're going to do is come to Streamlabs dashboard in the browser, and we're going to go into Podcast Editor. Let's use our content everywhere. Use your live stream everywhere. Let's do it, okay? Come in, Podcast Editor. You're going to probably have to log in with your Streamlabs ID, which is okay. It's a good way to keep that across the platforms. Just makes it nice and easy and communicates well. So use your Streamlabs ID when you're logging in there. Not just the Google one. Although the Google one is handy, this kind of recognizes both ways. Like, all right, we need to log you in here. And you got some serious horsepower going, so don't worry if this takes a little too long or like if this doesn't work right out of the gate, you'll be fine. But what we're looking at here is just the Streamlabs Podcast Editor dashboard. And this whole kind of system didn't start too long ago. It was about a month and a half. I was doing a tutorial for my buddy on how to look at Google Analytics and like see what we're doing. And it was clear what to do. Like live tutorials, show people how to make stuff more effective and turn it into AI. And this would be probably step 2, right? So if you do your live, you do your tutorials, well, in Streamlabs, the desktop that we just did on the settings, what's nice about it is it records it natively to your computer. What does that mean? You don't have any of those compression problems that we were talking about, right? So the first thing, since it is recorded natively to the computer, I think it was, did I just end one? Okay. I think it was this one. Let's check. You always want to check. Yeah, yesterday, so it couldn't have been that one. Okay, there's my 15-minute tutorial we just did, right? Nothing crazy. Life's good. We're on there. And now what we got to do is we got to take it and we got to make it our own, right? Like we got to make it effective for us. So how are we going to do that? Well, Streamlabs podcast editor, and this is just like it's just called different stuff. Like it's not that hard for you guys to do. You guys can all do this. You're just not familiar with it probably. And if you are familiar with it, start optimizing it. Okay, but I'm going to keep this name the same in here. And that's going to allow me to find it easier when I'm coming from Streamlabs. But when you drop it in here, just drop it into podcast editor. Okay. From there, what we're going to do, I'm going to use these subtitles. It usually, depending on what platform or how your layout looks like, that the black letters with the white background is going to show up consistently across every platform. You can translate it. I'm not going to today. And you can use auto editing. Remove those pauses. Remove those filler words. Okay. You can create clips if you want to. Add branding. I tend to not do a majority of this because if you're doing tutorials, it's like, all right, just do the tutorial so it's effective for people. All right. Now what we're going to do here is just continue editing in editor. Now I know there's a lot of people out there, 100%, that love tabs and they have like 500 tabs up. I can't do that. I get mad at tabs. So in order to make this effective, what I'm going to do is you want to leave it alone. Don't touch it. So when you drop it in there, we're going to minimize it. We'll come back and check on it later, all right? It's like we're marinating. Just let it marinate. Don't mess around with it, all right? Now, we got our podcast editor rolling, right? Now, what are we going to do with it and how do we make it effective? Good question. We are going to go back into podcast editor and I will show you what we're going to do. Okay? Log in again. I'm in a different window, but okay. We'll just do this one. So how to turn it into AI, right? Well, I got to do videos on how you can make it your own hybrid agent. So I did one of those. Let's just go check it out. Okay. So there's the video I did. I think that was last night or the other night, but this is my AI agent and I want him to handle live AI tutorials, Streamlabs, Twitch, tell people what BizRise is, tell them about the Academy, Gumroad, analytics. I want my AI to teach these for me because I don't want to, like, you're limited by what you can do, time, money, freedom. Well, if you want more time, have an AI do it, okay? So what you do from there is you take them and you post it to your Wix website or any website. And if you don't have a website, just save it to a Google Doc. That's all you got to do. Oh, that's not my website. That's Twitch. ThatAIdude.com. Okay, so this is one of my first websites that I ever put up. But what's great about these websites is they're a training ground. You can make them effective for training your AI. And the best part about that is what you do. So if you check out my training ground, these will be the tutorials that I've put up into it. Is, all right, step 1 Twitch. What's step 1? Okay. Then you put all of these, like the live transcriptions that we're going to get from podcast editor. Like this isn't as clean, right? Like this is going to be me talking. There's going to be some mistakes. There's going to be some filler stuff in there. But when you take it, give it to Gemini, say, hey, clean this up, make it a tutorial. Boom, good. Okay, now we just take it, put it on your website, cleaned up, expanded by AI, and then what do we do? Because that is probably like the, I don't know, second to last step. But the thing to think about too is with this, it's like, I try and tell people this, it's like, there's no right step one and there's no wrong step one. As long as you're taking step one, that's important. Because like there's going to be days you got to film live. There's going to be days you got to take, put it up to your website. And then there's going to be days you got to develop your AI chat agent. But if you just pick which one to do, you're going to be fine, right? And if we go to the console, we'll take a look at my AI agents right now. But what we're looking at here is agent builder. And I fired up a search last night too, because those things are cool. And we're going to check out Hank, but I did that BizRise search. We'll check out Hank because that's really what we're doing right now. And with Hank, here's how we're shaking out. So we have Hank to handle all my stuff, right? And I want Hank to be able to do that effectively. So you got to kind of teach Hank, and this is going to be a pretty labor-intensive process. I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen overnight. You can make these by just dragging and dropping your website URL. You can make them by, giving it general information. But if you really want some power out of it, you're going to have to put a little work into it. And what's cool about it is the important part for businesses is the analytics. All right, so what is my agent talking about? Or what are people asking my agent about to talk about the business, okay? And this has been consistent across the board. Live stream education. Every platform, and it's wild. Google Analytics, YouTube, even the results when people talk to it. All of the analytics say live streaming teaching. Okay, so that's what we do. And in order to do that effectively, you got to kind of run through each one of these things. And where that's going to live is in my academy. What do we got here? So these are all like, hey, it's not going to have that initial match, but I want people to know at the end of the day, if you take these, you got to think about if you had your own Gemini and you just had to give it guardrails. Because it is, and I'll put all the custom code up there, but it is backed by Gemini right here, generative AI. You have fallbacks, but on your data store, right? What I'm saying with guardrails and pointing Gemini in the right direction is you give it the data to be an expert or the information. Say, hey, who are you? Who do you work for? What do you do? Give it Gemini Pro back and let it roll. All right. So these can be very powerful for what's going on. And that is essentially like the initial workflow of live to AI. You record it live, put it in Podcast Editor, get the video, get the transcription, post it to your website, and you're like, well, how the fuck do I train it? All right, well, that is a good question. In order to do that, like let's say I was just doing that Streamlabs one. So I'm going to put this up on my website. And here's kind of what Hank's brain's going to look like. And don't worry too much about these arrows and lines. Like it looks like a ton of lines. Basically what that means is just like, all right, if somebody asks about video 2 and they want to watch video 6, they can. I don't want people to get stuck. So those routes are just basically saying, hey, I can look at 3 and then I can go talk about Gumroad. Or if I have ADD and I talk about Squirrel and I want to jump to Dinosaur and then I want to jump back into technology, those routes are going to allow you to do that. And how that works is, you basically just come in here and give it routes, route groups, event handlers. Here's how we make our AI give it those guardrails. So edit data stores, okay, website. Create a new data store, and this is a cool part of it. I don't know if it'll show you all of them here. It does in the search though. Okay, so for the agent data, I got to focus on 3 things. Either my website, I got to upload it to storage in the cloud, or the API, which is really cool and really powerful too. But for getting going, the best way to do it is just drop it on your website, let it rip. Okay? Size to include, like if I want to grab this part of my website, I'm going to copy that URL, come back here to create data store, paste it in, okay? And all we got to do is match the syntax. So if I just want that one page, here's what it needs to be. Okay, so I need the www, my site, da-da-da. Okay, so let's end it the same, just like that. We'll take out the HTTPS, boom, okay? If I want to train my agent on that part of my website to be an expert backed by Gemini, that's all it takes. Okay, so you would hit continue. Let's see if there's another step. Yeah, config after that. And then all you do is enter your data store name, click continue, and what that's going to do, I just got to do it, whatever. So let's go Hank demo. Just click create. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And what that's going to do is going to bring you here. You always want to make sure and check out Hank demo. Click into that data store to make sure you didn't mess up any syntax or nothing's going wrong. And you should get this indexing in progress symbol. What that means is Google's just going to learn it real quick. And if you come back in a couple hours, we'll be able to hook that up into Hank and be an agent, be an expert in it. So that's simple, right? Then when you come into apps, in order to engage those data stores, all you got to do is we'll go back to Hank, because I don't know if he's going to be getting that refresh, but if you go back into Hank AI, and I want to put that individual page, that data store, into my Streamlabs, we'll go look at it. Click on video 1, for example. Let's say it's like specifically talking about welcome to Streamlabs. And I want that specific data store to be on this page. I would add a state handler, select data stores, apply. What we're going to do here, move that up, come down to data stores, we're going to add it. Website, we just added Hank demo. Okay, from there, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to route them anywhere. So I'm just going to have that data store there. Request knowledge answer, so they'll be able to use that live stream transcription to answer questions about the specific video that you did live teaching about. So what does that all mean, right? You can do a live stream one time, teach people how to do it, turn that over to your AI that's powered by Gemini. It's going to be able to teach people. So you can move on to that new, bigger, better, badder, right? You don't have to stay doing the same thing. It's not just one course that you're going to do. It's like, all right, what did we do today? What do we do tomorrow? And it constantly learns and grows with you, which is going to be more effective for anybody in a week or in 2 days than any Canva system with 150 Canva templates. It is wild to me that we're still talking about Canva templates. You don't need a Canva template ever again. For what? You can do it all live. Record what you're doing, prove it, do short form, long form, and that what content you get is in the Twitch tutorial. But there's no reason to do this twice. And you don't need prompt sheet templates. You don't need prompt sheet examples. That's not how you make AI effective. Faceless channels. Don't get me wrong. I use GPT and I use Gemini in everything I do. But people are already recognizing what's faceless, what's bullshit, and they don't like it. And what they like is authentic, real content. So how are you going to do that effectively? Stream it live, okay? And if you check out the what content you get Twitch tutorial, you get everything you need. Long form, short form, all of it. So really these are the kind of the last tutorials in what my academy is. So those should be squared away. And now, guys, what it's going to be is, so I'm going to have a free academy. I have one that's free that I'm going to be putting a lot of these in. And then I have one that's paid. And the paid one, what we're going to do there is I'm going to build all of these out with you. What's nice about it is it's just going to kind of be a step-by-step process. And the other thing I noticed with some of these programs is it's one thing to learn it, but it's another thing to use it. Right? And I don't want to have, so nothing that I'm going to do is going to be unusable. You're going to be able to use it, right? And with the paid community, I haven't even told my paid community this yet, but kind of like a surprise. Surprise, beasrise.io. Okay, this is what I've developed for them to use, because it's one thing to have this stuff kind of set up, and one thing to have it, I don't know. It's one thing to learn it and do a tutorial, but it's all right, now I want to use it, right? And well, here's old Hank dog. Let's go check out Hank. What up? So this is what's at the end of the rainbow, right? It's a full-on AI-powered web app for you that learns together, right? Twitch, let's check out those videos. What do you got in there for me, Hank? Okay, I want to learn how to clip that, make some content. Boom. Life is good. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to do stuff, do it effectively. If you're going to live stream, do it effectively. If you're going to teach somebody something, use AI to remember it and do it with you. And you might be thinking like, oh, I don't know how to do AI. I don't know how to do all that. And it's like, the fuck you don't. If you can set up a TikTok shop, you can do this. If you can, if you can turn on your phone, if you can attach a file to an email, you can do this. So that's essentially the whole goal of this. And that was the last tutorial I had on the, I think, free side to accomplish is, all right, Streamlabs settings. So I'm going to edit those, put them up into the Course Academy. It's going to be on my Gumroad too, which I think, I don't know if anybody can see this, but if there's a better way, or if there's a better setup, and I'm pretty sure I can do it on Flutterflow too, but, which fuck, I might just list all these on Flutterflow. I mean, that goes directly to mine. I quit even dicking around with Gumroad. Yeah, shit. Like that. But it's kind of content heavy too. I don't know, Gumroad's cool. But if there's a better way that anybody knows out there that they sell like a product and then create an affiliate link real quick, I know WAP's one of them. Let me know. But I'm going to end this recording, and then basically from here, I'm just going to set up the school live. I'm going to be jamming. And then I'm going to do more of Dialogue Flow CX training. So appreciate you. I love you. Come hang out with me on the next one, and we'll be here live all night. Live action.